Good morning, good morning. Today you find me in the beautiful coastal area of North Yorkshire called Ravenscar, and I'd love you to join me on a 15-mile trail run. We're beginning here on the coast. Let's get right in with the details. It's Saturday the 26th of October 2024. We're here to do the Endurancelife North York Moors half marathon organised by Endurancelife. It's 15 miles, 24k, with 1,900 feet of ascent. That's just over 600 meters. So I've done my research and there's plenty of interesting stuff to share with you. So let's get going. Let's get on with this run. So this first 5-mile section is clearly downhill. Well, it starts downhill and then ends up at the at sea level. This part of North Yorkshire was the centre of the alum industry. Oh, what's alum, I hear you cry? Well, if you think back in the 1600s, well, if you think about dyeing clothes, you have to get a dye that's water soluble, and you then soak the clothes in that dye, and the cloth takes on the colour of the dye. And when you wash the clothes, all the dye runs out. So alum, from aluminium sulfate, was used as a fixative that would fix the dye onto the cloth to keep colours fast for longer. And back in the 14th and 15th centuries, we got all our alum from Italy. And then when King Henry VIII fell out with the Pope, that supply stopped. So they started an alum works here, and this provided most of the alum for the UK for about the next 3 centuries. So this part of the King Charles III coast path is also the Cleveland Way. Cleveland being a non-metropolitan county, so a bit like Middlesex, doesn't really count as a county as far as boundaries are concerned, but people who live there care about it a lot. And Cleveland is this bit of North Yorkshire between the Tees at the top and Pickering. And the Cleveland Way itself is a 109-mile path that goes all the way around the top of the North York Moors. I'll show you a map. Oh.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
Not even 2.5 miles in, and sweat's pouring down my face. Heart rate 160s. Anti-sweat device back on. So just down below us is something you might see on the map that's called Boggle Hole. And Boggle Hole is a curiously eroded sort of cave that quite fun to look at apparently at low tide. What is it called? Boggle Hole? Well, apparently it's a derivation of the word goblin for what the locals used to think lived there. That picturesque little village is Robin Hood's Bay. So what's the link with that famous character of legend from Sherwood Forest? Absolutely nothing. There is no evidence at all to suggest any links between the two. What we do know about this area is that it was massive in smuggling. That yeah, this was a smuggler's paradise. Right, a jagged coast, lots of little nooks and crannies and coves and inlets, and paid much better than fishing. And now it's a beautiful, picturesque little tourist haven.
Hey, alright. What you done breaking your foot anyway? Chopping firewood up? Yeah, I know. I've heard all about it.
I don't know if you heard that, but the delivery driver said, "And what are you doing breaking your foot?" And the wife said, "Being a tit."
How you doing?
Good.
Enjoying it?
Yes.
Nice one.
Oh, thank you.
Next bit's lovely, right along the cliff again.
Fab.
Here
we go.
Beautiful, right?
Everybody asked me what they supply. Look at that, magnificent. Not bad views, eh? We're now going to go out round the coast and then back down there. You can maybe see some runners behind me. Very reminiscent of Beachy Head, this. If you remember, I've done Beachy Head Marathon twice. 2 of my 3 marathons. And that's this weekend as well, so good luck to all my friends who are running it. This bit is not dissimilar to Seven Sisters in some ways. So turning back south now, this is the second 5 miles. And this is going to take us into farmland. So we're going to head back to where the checkpoint was at 4 miles and then cut inland, and we'll have a look at North Yorkshire's agriculture. That'd be nice for me, see what farmers are doing. Oh, yeah. Thank you. If you're enjoying this video, do feel free to give it a like, a thumbs up. Helps YouTube share it with other trail runners, and it makes me happy.
We needed a wee stop. It's all about the wee stop.
You will of course remember what those are. They're silage bales, which is silage is cut grass, cut when it's still quite young before it gets stemmy like it would be for hay, and then you seal it in anaerobic conditions and it ferments and creates a really quite tasty nutritious meal for cattle over the winter. While I'm walking up here, I'll tell you about a little school just here. It's called Fylingdales School, which was founded by a remarkable woman called Mab Bradley in 1923. She was in London at a dinner party and heard about a small sickly child, and she decided that child would do better if brought to the bracing climate of Yorkshire. So in 1923 she opened a school for him and 3 others. And that sickly little boy went on to a top scholarship to Winchester, very famous public school, which you may remember we ran past earlier this year. As well as being described as merrily brilliant, Mab Bradley was also described as a born teacher who always made the world seem bigger than you thought it was, by which I assume they meant in a good way that there was so much more to life than you possibly thought. That's Fylingdales School. Always say I'll show what you stock. Lucho's energy blocks, which I will pinch one of those. I've not used them before. So these are Lucho blocks, which just taste like guavas packed with sugar, which I suppose is what they are, and very delicious. Isn't it lovely? You just come out from a uphill mud bath into this. There aren't many places I'd rather be than out doing this kind of thing in a place like this. Fantastic. Right, stop talking, get running, thank you. God, look at all those lovely cattle enjoying late autumn grass. Right, my beauties. Lovely. Makes me happy. Ten and a half miles. I don't know if the camera's going to show it, but I'll zoom in on it. There's a radio mast at the top of the hill up there. That's where we're going. We're going to go down to the bottom and then basically 3 miles of uphill to get to that radio mast. Away to our right, the big moor is called Fylingdales Moor, and it's a name that some people associate with RAF Fylingdales. Sort of 50-60 years ago, if you drove past that way, you'd see great golf balls in the middle of the moor, and these are what they called radomes. Fylingdales was a radar station. Its motto is Vigilamus, which is we are watching, and it was Britain's early warning station, looking out for ballistic missiles in case the Russians were going to bomb us in the Cold War. That's where we would have got our 4-minute warning from. And those giant golf balls were replaced a few years ago with some much more state-of-the-art ones. The thing that Fylingdales looks out for now is space traffic and satellites, but it also watches for spy satellites. so it knows when foreign powers have their spy satellites over the UK. So universities, government, military, they all pay for the service that Fylingdales offers, where it tells you when there isn't a spy satellite overhead, so that you can do your clandestine activities without being observed by foreign powers. So lovely, filled up with water. I've got enough snacks, chatty Marshalls. I don't think I showed you the map. Let me show you the map. Final 5 miles is now uphill for 3, and then downhill for 1, and then an evil little ½ kilometre uphill right at the end. So we're heading to the mast just up there. So we're uphill till that point, and then we've got a mile downhill, 2.5 miles to go, 4k. So I think 3:45 is probably going to be realistic time. $161. Just walk for a little bit. Nearly there. Oh, cameraman at the top. Got to be running for the cameraman. Here we go then. Right. Oh, disappointing. This downhill is hardly runnable. Very easy to... Very easy to twist your ankle. We're now back in sight of the sea, Robin Hood's Bay, and we're heading down into Ravenscar. Ravenscar wasn't really a town at all. It used to be called Peak, or The Peak, if you look at old maps. And back in the turn of the 20th centuries, so 1920s maybe, someone looked at all the success that Scarborough and Whitby had and decided they wanted a slice of that tourist revenue. So they decided they would build a holiday resort here at Ravenscar. So they built streets, they put in sewers, they started building houses, and nobody came because it was a long walk down to a craggy, cliffy beach, which was not what the 1920s and 30s tourists wanted. So actually they never got any farther than that, and it stayed a small little place like it is today. It's always been like that. But if you look at it on a map, you can see the lines dividing up the fields are actually those streets, and were those streets where they were going to build houses, but they never did. And I'm very glad they haven't, because it's beautiful. That looks like an old railway carriage. Here we go then. So the last quarter of a mile, 500 metres uphill, which is what we came down right at the beginning.
Oh, well done! Oh, don't worry about that. Just to the right. Excellent. Well done.
Thank you. Thanks, fella.
Fantastic effort, mate. Well done. Well done.
Never give up. 3:37:31 when I stopped it. 15.2 miles. All done. Quite a tough one. Really enjoyed it. They really are challenging runs, these, and that's why we love them. I ran with those ladies a lot of the way. If you've enjoyed this run, do feel free to subscribe and then click the notifications bell, and you'll get an email that tells you as soon as I upload a new video, which is the next one. It's going to be the Maverick Oxford half marathon. Again, trail, again 13 miles. That one's right at the end of November, so the weather could be anything. If you want to follow me on Strava, you're more than welcome. If you've got any comments, do leave them down below. I read every comment and I'll reply to every comment if I can. So really look forward to you joining me on another one. Until then, thank you so much. I'm going to go and have a bit of a bath, I think, and then a slap up dinner.